Hello students, this is our next session in the chapter atoms. As you know that in our previous session I was discussing about Bohr atom model of hydrogen atom as well as postulates of the Bohr's atomic model, and even we have also applied the Bohr's postulate in order to establish the relation for finding the radius of an stationary Bohr orbit. So generally, in our previous class we have discussed Bohr's postulate. ನಮ್ಮ ಹಿಂದಿನ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಬೋರ್ ಪಾಸ್ಟುಲೇಟ್ಗಳನ್ನು ನೋಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಸೊ ಅದೇ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ ಆ ಬೋರ್ ಪಾಸ್ಟುಲೇಟ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡಿ ಒಂದು ಆಟಮ್ ಅಥವಾ ಒಂದು ಕಣದಲ್ಲಿರುವಂತಹ ನ್ಯೂಕ್ಲಿಯಸ್ ಮತ್ತು ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನಿಗಿರುವಂತಹ ಒಂದು ದೂರವನ್ನು, ಅಂದರೆ ಅದರ ಒಂದು ರೇಡಿಯಸ್, ಅಟಾಮಿಕ್ ರೇಡಿಯಸ್ಸನ್ನು ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಫೈಂಡ್ ಔಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದನ್ನು ನಮ್ಮ ಹಿಂದಿನ ಒಂದು ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಲೆಕ್ಚರ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಫಾರ್ today's class we have to continue with the same thing. The further that is a continuation of Bohr atom model. So actually, according to the Bohr's atom model, he told that an electron in an atom will be revolving in a certain stable states, and these stable states will possess some definite total energy. ಬೋರನ ನಿಯಮದ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಅವನ ಒಂದು ಅಟಾಮಿಕ್ ಮಾಡೆಲ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಅವನು ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ ಅಂತಂದರೆ, ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಕಣಗಳ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಒಂದಿಷ್ಟು ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಆಗಿರುವಂತಹ ಸ್ಟೇಷನರಿ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಸ್ಗಳಿದ್ದಾವೆ. ಆ ಸ್ಟೇಷನರಿ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಸ್ಗಳಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ ಆದಂಥ ಎನರ್ಜಿ ಇದೆ. ಆ ಎನರ್ಜಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕೂ ಕೂಡ ರೇಡಿಯೇಟ್ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದನ್ನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. ಬಟ್ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರೋಮ್ಯಾಗ್ನೆಟಿಕ್ ಥಿಯರಿ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ರುಥರ್ಫೋರ್ಡ್ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದ ಅಂತಂದರೆ, ಈ ರಿವಾಲ್ವ್ ಆಗುವಂಥ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನು ಎನರ್ಜಿಯನ್ನು ಎಮಿಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಎನರ್ಜಿ ಎಮಿಟ್ ಆದರೆ ಅದು ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂಸ್ಲಿ ಎನರ್ಜಿ ಎಮಿಟ್ ಮಾಡಿತು ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಫೈನಲಿ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಫಾಲ್ ಟು ದ ನ್ಯೂಕ್ಲಿಯಸ್. ತನ್ನ ಎನರ್ಜಿ, ತನ್ನ ಶಕ್ತಿಯನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಕಳ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅದು ನ್ಯೂಕ್ಲಿಯಸ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಬಿದ್ದಾಗ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅನ್ಸ್ಟೆಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಇದು ಸಾಧ್ಯವೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಎಲ್ಲವೂ ಕೂಡ ನೀವು ನೋಡಿರಬಹುದು ಮ್ಯಾಟರ್ ಸ್ಟೇಬಲ್ ಸ್ಥಿತಿಯಲ್ಲಿನೇ ಇದೆ, ಅನ್ಸ್ಟೇಬಲ್ ಸ್ಥಿತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಸ್ಟೇಬಲ್ ಸ್ಥಿತಿಯನ್ನು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೇನ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬೋರ್ ತನ್ನ ಒಂದು ಮಾಡೆಲನ್ನು ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. ಆ ಮಾಡೆಲ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅವನು ಕ್ವಾಂಟಮ್ ಹೈಪೋಥೆಸಿಸ್ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ಮಾಡರ್ನ್ ಫಿಸಿಕ್ಸ್ ಬ್ರ್ಯಾಂಚಿನ ಒಂದು ಹೆಲ್ಪನ್ನು ತಗೊಂಡು ಅದರ ಒಂದು ಸಹಾಯದಿಂದ ಅವನು ಆ ಒಂದು ತನ್ನ ಮಾಡೆಲನ್ನು ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಇನ್ ದ ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಯು ನೋ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ I have discussed about Bohr's atom model. Once I will simply highlight the postulates of that model. According to the first postulate, an electron in an atom could revolve around the nucleus in a certain stable states. And these stable states are associated with certain definite total energy. And if electron is revolving in a such a state means they will not emit any kind of energy. First postulate is very simple. An electron in an atom revolving around the nucleus in a certain stable states known as stationary states without emission of any kind of energy. It means first postulate tell about the existence of stationary orbits in an atom. And second postulate, the electron which is revolving in some particular orbit, for that particular orbit and for that electron angular momentum is integral multiples of h by 2 pi. ಯಾವ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಟೇಷನರಿ ಆರ್ಬಿಟ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ ರಿವಾಲ್ವ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತದೆಯೋ ಆ ಒಂದು ಆರ್ಬಿಟ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಅದರ ಆಂಗ್ಯುಲರ್ ಮೊಮೆಂಟಮ್ ಇಂಟಿಗ್ರಲ್ ಮಲ್ಟಿಪಲ್ ಆಫ್ h by 2 pi ಗೆ ಸಮ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನೀವು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಆರ್ಬಿಟ್ ತೊಗೊಂಡಾಗ ಆ್ಯಂಗುಲರ್ ಮೊಮೆಂಟಮ್ h by 2 pi ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಆರ್ಬಿಟ್ ತೊಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಅದು ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಆರ್ಬಿಟ್ ತೊಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ 2 into h by 2 pi ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ನಾನು ಹಿಂದಿನ ಲೆಕ್ಚರರ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಬಟ್ ಆದರೂ ಕೂಡ ಕೆಲವೊಬ್ಬರಿಗೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಕನ್ನಡ ಮೀಡಿಯಮ್ ಇರೋರಿಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಆಗಲಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಈ ಒಂದು ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಲೆಕ್ಚರ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಐ ಆಮ್ explaining in little bit Kannada for the students who are from Kannada medium, for them to understand easily. That is the reason I am explaining for few minutes in Kannada. Later on I will come to the further aspect in English. Along with that, how much it is possible for me to explain in Kannada, like that I am going to try, because this is an online class. Anyhow, we are all trying to put you the maximum the concept of this, whatever the subject or whatever the topic we are taking. Anyhow, we are trying. Please, you also go through all the video lecturers of our staff and try to attend it correctly and try to go through every day and make a notes of that also. okay, if possible, or else if you have a books you can refer it. Okay, fine. So after this, next what I have to discuss, so we discussed about first postulates of Bohr is stationary orbit, second is tells about angular momentum, third postulate tells about the when an electron transits from higher orbit to lower orbit. See, Rutherford was told, according to the classical electromagnetic theory, while explaining Rutherford's atomic model, Rutherford found one limitation. What is that limitation? He is unable to explain the stability of the atom. So this is the reason. So why he is unable to explain the stability of the atom? Then that the inability of Rutherford was made ability by this Bohr, and Bohr explained that there is a emission of energy by the electrons in an atom will be takes place when electron jumps from higher orbit to the lower orbit. Only under this condition the energy is emitted. If electron is there in a certain particular orbit, means there is no emission of energy, unless, okay, when it transits, then it emits energy. If there is no transition from higher orbit to lower orbit, no emission of any kind of energy. And that we know that energy of the emission is E2 minus E1 equal to h nu, means energy of the emitted photon will be equal to energy difference between initial and final state. And later on we applied Bohr's theory for finding the radius of the atoms. Okay, so for finding the radius of the atoms of some orbit. So in general we did for nth stationary orbit, yes or no? So if you recall the derivation, so what is this equation? R is equal to n square h square epsilon naught divided by pi m z e square. So this is the equation I derived in my previous class, and this equation is nothing but the what? The equation for finding the radius of the nth stationary orbit. So here I can take n as 1, 2, 3 like that. So there are n equal to 1 to 3 is nothing but natural numbers. So it means number of orbits are also found like a natural numbers only. First orbit, second orbit, third orbit, fourth orbit, like that. If you put 1, you will get radius of first orbit. And you know that for hydrogen atom, particularly for hydrogen atom, which is the simplest atom amongst all the elements of periodic table. So for such a simple atom, we found that the radius of the first orbit is 0.529 angstrom. Okay, so like that we can also calculate its nth orbit. Okay, so just by taking R is R1. So why? In case of hydrogen atom, atomic number is 1. Say for example n is equal to 1, that is corresponds to first orbit. Is it clear? Our topics is very simple. So we are discussing Bohr's atomic model. With the help of Bohr's atomic model, whatever the Bohr had calculated the some formulas based on his experiment, based on his theoretical model, based on his assumption. So those formulas we are also going to take with the help of derivations. So all those derivations we have to discuss. Only one of the derivation I discussed in my previous class, this one, and next we shall go for the further details of this, and that further detail is nothing but orbital velocity. So orbital velocity, because in an atom electrons are there is a nucleus in a small part of an atom. Most of the volume occupied by an atom is an empty space. ಒಂದು ಆಟಮ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ನ್ಯೂಕ್ಲಿಯಸ್ ಬಹಳ ಮಧ್ಯಭಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಲೊಕೇಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಗಳೆಲ್ಲವೂ ಕೂಡ ಆ ಒಂದು ನ್ಯೂಕ್ಲಿಯಸ್ಸಿನ ಸುತ್ತ ಒಂದು ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಆರ್ಬಿಟ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಸುತ್ತುತ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತವೆ. ಹಾಗೂ ಆಟಮ್ಸ್ನಲ್ಲಿರುವಂತಹ ಒಳಗಿರುವಂತಹ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸ್ಪೇಸ್ ಕೂಡ ಆದಷ್ಟು ಖಾಲಿಯಾಗಿರುವಂಥ ಸ್ಪೇಸೇ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಸ್ಪೇಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಆನ್ ಎಂಟಿ. ಸೊ ಈ ರೀತಿ ಇರುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ಆಟಮಿನ ಒಂದು ಆರ್ಬಿಟ್ ರೇಡಿಯಸ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಫೈಂಡ್ ಔಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬೋರ್ ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಡಿಡ್ ಇನ್ ಅವರ್ ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಯು ಆಲ್ಸೋ ನೋ that formula. And for today's class what we are going to discuss means, so the electrons are revolving around the nucleus. With what velocity they are revolving, how to calculate the orbital speed of the electron in an nth stationary orbit. In general, if I calculate for nth stationary orbit, I can apply for first orbit, second orbit, third orbit, fourth orbit, like that. Yes or no? So that is the reason now our class is to derive the expression for orbital velocity of the electron in an nth stationary orbit. So concept of orbital velocity. So orbital velocity. So already you know that what is orbital velocity? The velocity with which the electrons are revolving around the nucleus. So that velocity we call as orbital velocity. And in case of gravitation topic, you might be remembered that the velocity with which the satellite will revolve around the planet. Okay, so or the velocity with which the earth is revolving around the sun, that is also orbital velocity. Like that here also electron is revolving around the nucleus with some velocity. That velocity we call as orbital velocity. So now let us consider one simple figure for this. So I am going to draw that figure here. So you try to take the figure if possible, or else you can refer from the book. So an atom containing nucleus. This is an, say it is the nth stationary orbit of an atom. Radius of the atom, say here there is a electron of mass m which is revolving around the nucleus with the velocity say v. So VO we can also write, or else you can take simply v. V, orbital velocity. V, which is revolving around the nucleus of charge plus Ze. So what is that? Plus Ze, charge of nucleus. Charge of nucleus. Z atomic number. If you take hydrogen, it becomes 1. If you take next atom, that is helium, it becomes 2. Next, electron. Atomic orbital radius R. Orbital radius. M, mass of the electron. Mass of the electron. See, for final examination, theory examination, these derivations are important. Orbital radii derivation, even orbital velocity. Next, another one is there. He had about total energy of the electron. The energy associated with the electron we are going to calculate. So next, V, orbital velocity. Orbital velocity. Now, consider an electron of mass m. Consider an electron of mass m having the charge minus e. Charge of the electron is minus e. Charge of the electron minus e. Charge of electron. So let us consider an electron of mass m having the charge minus e, which is revolving around the nucleus of charge plus Ze with an orbital velocity v. So what is that? Consider electron of mass m which is revolving around the nucleus of charge plus Ze with an orbital velocity v. Then we know that, so this electron will experience a electrostatic force of attraction between the nucleus and the electron. So it means it experiences electrostatic force of attraction because of this positive nucleus. So therefore, that electrostatic force of attraction between the nucleus and electron is given by F is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Ze into E divided by R square. So F is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Ze square divided by R square. Call this equation number as 1. What is our intention? We want the expression for this orbital velocity. So derivation we are doing here. Derivation, this is the important one. Orbital velocity. So here electron of mass m, which is revolving around the nucleus of charge plus z with an orbital velocity v, then it experiences electrostatic force of attraction given by this equation. And remember, to keep the electron in a circular orbit, it must require some centripetal force, and this centripetal force is provided by the what? Electrostatic force of attraction between the electron and nucleus. So listen here, for a circular orbit of the electron, ಅಂದರೆ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ಗಳು ಸರ್ಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಆರ್ಬಿಟ್ನಲ್ಲಿನೇ ಇರಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಅವುಗಳಿಗೆ ಸೆಂಟ್ರಿಪಿಟಲ್ ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಬೇಕು. ಕೇಂದ್ರಾಭಿಮುಖ ಬಲ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ಆ ಕೇಂದ್ರಾಭಿಮುಖ ಬಲ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಆ ಒಂದು ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ ಆ ಒಂದು ಆರ್ಬಿಟ್ನಲ್ಲಿನೇ ರಿವಾಲ್ವ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಕೇಂದ್ರಾಭಿಮುಖ ಬಲ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಸೊ ಅದು ರಿವಾಲ್ವ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಫಾರ್ ಎ ಸರ್ಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಆರ್ಬಿಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್, the electrostatic force is the provider of that centripetal force. For a circular orbit of the electron, centripetal force is required, and that centripetal force is given by Fc is equal to mv square divided by r. M mass of the electron, v orbital speed of the electron, r orbital radius, Fc centripetal force. So since we know that mv square by r is equal to what? 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Ze square divided by r square. So this implies mv square r is equal to Ze square divided by 4 pi epsilon naught. Because 1 r get cancelled, r will be there. I'll take to this side. mv square r equal to Ze square by 4 pi epsilon naught. Call this equation number as 3. Next. So according to the Bohr's second postulate, if an electron is revolving in an stationary orbit means, then definitely whose angular momentum is integral multiples of h by 2 pi. So therefore, according to Bohr's postulate, especially according to Bohr's second postulate, so according to Bohr's second postulate, L is equal to mvr, which is equal to nh by 2 pi. Call this equation number as 4. Okay, very simple. mv linear momentum that is multiplied with the atomic radii will give you angular momentum. Product of linear momentum and the position vector of the electron to the nucleus. So adana position vector antanu karitivi, athwa distance from nucleus to the electron antanu karitivi. So therefore, now dividing equation 3 by this 4. Now I am going to divide the equation 3 by 4. Then what happens if you divide equation? Dividing equation 3 by 4. So mv square r divided by mvr. You have to divide left hand side of the equation by left hand side. Left part divide ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳ್ರಿ, right side. This is nh by 2 pi. So dividing nh by, I am dividing 3 by 4 means this is Ze square divided by 4 pi epsilon naught So upon nh by 2 pi. So this becomes what? 2 pi by nh. nh, where h is Planck's constant. So here what happens? So nodri bekidre innond sate correct agi artha madkoldri. So naan ivaga equation 3 dividing with equation 4 andre mv square r divided by mvr is equal to ze square by 4 pi epsilon naught. Equation 3 divided by, so ನೀವಿಲ್ಲಿ divided by nh by 2 pi ಅಂತ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ so that becomes what? 2 pi by nh. So r m yes or no? So pi they get cancelled, so even this 2, then one v get cancelled, v is equal to ze square by 2 epsilon naught nh. ze square by 2 epsilon naught nh, or v is equal to 1 by n. I will take ze square by 2 epsilon naught h. So this is the expression for orbital velocity of the electron in an which orbit? In an nth orbit, in an nth stationary Bohr orbit. See here, Z atomic number. If I take some particular element, atomic number will be same. E, charge of the electron, epsilon naught, permittivity of free space, then h, Planck's constant. This complete thing becomes a constant. But here number of orbits will be, as a number of orbit varies, orbital speed also varies. Very simple from this equation, orbital velocity is inversely proportional to orbit number. It means when an electrons are very close to the nucleus, means if electrons are found in the inner orbit, then they have higher velocity. Orbital velocity of the electron will be high in the inner orbits because of this relation, and orbital velocity of the electron will be less in the higher orbits, that is outer orbits, outermost orbits. So this is the relation for orbital velocity or orbital speed of the electrons. V is equal to 1 by n into ze square by 2 epsilon naught h. So note this, if possible take a screenshot of this and you can copy in your notebook. So this is the derivation of orbital velocity. So next, after this derivation, we have to discuss the what is the total energy of this electron. Ilodri, electron is revolving. We got what is the orbital velocity of the electron. So if electron is revolving around the nucleus means, then it must possess some energy. So definitely it is in state of motion means it has kinetic energy. So then how is that kinetic energy? What is the expression for that kinetic energy? We shall consider that. So now we have another one important derivation, that's total energy of the electron. Total energy of the electron. So next derivation is total energy of the electron, where in an nth stationary orbit. Derivation of, this is also derivation. This derivation is important for 5 marks. Derivation of total energy, the derivation of total energy of the electron in an nth stationary orbit. For that also, once again, consider an electron of mass m which is revolving around the nucleus. So once again, here m is mass of electron Ze charge of nucleus r orbital radius v orbital speed of the electron So now you consider an electron of mass m which is revolving around the nucleus of charge plus Ze with velocity v. Since electron is in state of motion, so hence it has associated with kinetic energy, and also this electron is under the field of positively charged nucleus, hence it also associated with potential energy. Therefore, total energy of the electron in this orbit is equal to what? Sum of potential energy plus kinetic energy. The total energy of the electron in this orbit is equal to what? The total energy. So TE I can write here. Total energy is equal to sum of potential energy plus kinetic energy. So what is that potential energy of the electron and what is the kinetic energy of the electron? What is the equation? Now we shall go through that derivation. See here, it is one of the important derivation. Please go through this derivation. So you practice it, because most of the time they have asked this derivation in the examination. So that is the reason you have to go through this derivation. See here, we know that the total energy of the electron is equal to sum of potential plus kinetic. The electrostatic potential of the nucleus is given by V is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Ze divided by plus Ze divided by R. The potential of this nucleus is given by V equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Ze divided by R plus Ze. Next, the electrostatic potential energy associated with the electron due to the field of the nucleus is given by U is equal to V into Q. You have studied this equation in the second chapter while calculating potential energy of a charge. The potential energy of a charge is given by V into Q. It is the potential due to nucleus. The potential of this charge is due to the potential of a nucleus. So therefore it has potential energy U equal to V into Q. So therefore the potential energy of the electron is given by, so here charge is nothing but electron. Just I am telling here. So next, potential energy of the electron due to the nucleus is U is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Ze by R plus Ze by R into minus E, charge of the electron, minus E. So this becomes U is equal to minus 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Ze square by R. I am going to call this equation number as 1. So we know that nucleus, the electrostatic potential of the nucleus is given by 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught plus Z by R. Then the potential energy of this electron, because of field of the nucleus, due to the field of the nucleus, is given by U equal to V into Q. V means this much, Q means minus E, charge of the electron here. So this is equation number 1. Since electron is revolving around the nucleus, then it experiences electrostatic force, and this electrostatic force is also a provider of centripetal force. It means for a circular orbit of the electron, next you consider, for circular orbit of the electron, they require centripetal force mv square by r. And we know that this mv square by r is equal to what? 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Ze square by r square. Yes or no? This is, we know that. For a circular orbit of the electron, Fc must be equal to Fe. I am avoiding many more steps in this equation, in this derivation. For a circular orbit of the electron, they require the condition is what? Required condition is what? Fc must be equal to Fe. Centripetal force must be equal to the electrostatic force. So therefore, mv square by r is equal to that 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Ze square by r square. So I will get mv square is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Ze square by r. Consider electron of mass m which is revolving around the nucleus of charge plus Ze with an orbital velocity v. Then since electron is in state of motion, it has kinetic energy, and since electron is in the field of the nucleus, it has potential energy, and that potential energy is given by this equation. In this equation. And remember, electrons are revolving in a circular orbit, means this circular orbit condition of the electron will be exist when centripetal force exists. And if this centripetal force is provided by the electrostatic force, definitely centripetal force is there, and this force is provided by the electrostatic force. So therefore, this is the condition. And if I resolve, I am getting mv square equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Ze square by r. Since electrons are moving, they are associated with the what? Some velocity, it means they have kinetic energy. Therefore, kinetic energy of the electrons is given by k is equal to half mv square. What is mv square? I can substitute this condition, because this condition is the satisfying condition for the electron. So therefore, I can call this equation as 2. From equation 2, say this I call as 3. From equation 2, equation 3 becomes k is equal to 1 by 2 into what is mv square? That is Ze square divided by 4 pi epsilon naught r. So call this equation number as 4. Call this equation number as 4. I got potential energy expression here. I got potential energy expression here. Now I have kinetic energy expression here. Then tell me, what is the total energy of the electron? Sum of potential plus kinetic. Sum of potential plus kinetic. So therefore, total energy of the electron T is equal to potential energy plus kinetic energy. Therefore, minus 1 by 4 pi minus Z square divided by 4 pi epsilon naught r, 4 pi epsilon naught r, this complete thing, minus Z square by 4 pi epsilon naught r plus kinetic energy term, that is 1 by 2 Z square by 4 pi epsilon naught r. Students, I did substitution of potential energy expression plus kinetic energy expression. Okay. We can also rearrange. You can also rearrange this equation. So then what it becomes? Total energy. Total energy I represent as E. Is equal to that is half of Z square divided by 4 pi epsilon naught r minus Z square by 4 pi epsilon naught r. In this equation, the common factor is Z square by 4 pi epsilon naught r. Therefore, E is equal to Z square divided by 4 pi epsilon naught r half minus 1. So, E is equal to minus Z square divided by 8 pi epsilon naught r, because half minus 1 minus half minus Z square by half is there, denominator 2 is there, 2 4s are 8 pi epsilon naught r. E is equal to minus Z square by 8 pi epsilon naught r. In general, this is for orbital radius r. I want for nth stationary orbit. So at the time, we know that radius of the nth stationary orbit is n square h square epsilon naught divided by pi m Z square. We know already this equation. R is equal to n square h square epsilon naught divided by pi m Z square, radius of the nth stationary orbit. Even I will take that radius as in general we are doing for nth stationary orbit only. So since, say this equation I am going to call it as equation 5 and this I am going to call as equation 6. Substitute equation 6 in 5, then equation 5 becomes E is equal to minus Z square by 8 pi epsilon naught. In place of r, I am putting this. In place of r, ಈ r place ನಲ್ಲಿ ಈ expression ಅನ್ನು substitute ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. Into n square h square epsilon naught whole divided by pi m Z square, like that. So then it becomes what? Pi m Z square divided by n square h square epsilon naught. Therefore, E is equal to pi get cancelled here. the equation I am simplifying here, minus 1 by n square, I will take all the constant in one bracket, I will take all the constants in one bracket and this n outside the bracket, because it varies from orbits to orbit. If I substitute n equal to 1, constants are same only, but the energy will be differ. So therefore, the variable I will keep outside the bracket and remaining things I will take inside the bracket. So what is the remaining thing? Minus 1 by n square I kept outside. Z square into Z square, that is m as it is, or else Z square e to the power of 2 into e to the power of 2 e power 4 into m, or else m Z square e to the power of 4 divided by this 8 epsilon naught h square, 8 epsilon naught square, it is epsilon naught into epsilon naught square h square. So therefore, this is the thing, z into z, z square, m as it is, pi get cancelled, so z into z, z square, e square e power 4, m as it is, pi get cancelled, divided by 8 epsilon naught square h square, because n square is outside the bracket. So this is okay. I think you will not able to view properly this equation. I think I'll write somewhere here the total energy of the electron. If you copied this equation, means it is well and good. If you copied, means it is well and good. If not, you can go through the so therefore, energy of the electron in an nth stationary orbit is given by minus 1 by n square mz square e to the power of 4 divided by 8 epsilon naught square h square. See, total energy is negative. Already in case of Rutherford's atomic theory, we did the expression for total energy of the electron. We found negative only. Why? Electron is bound to the nucleus. It is under the influence of the nucleus. So therefore, it possesses least energy. So negative minus 1 by n square mz square e to the power of 4 by 8 epsilon naught square h square. Suppose if I take for hydrogen atom, so here Bohr is applying this expression for hydrogen atom, taking z equal to 1 and n equal z equal to 1 generally, then equation become E equal to minus 1 by n square into 13.6 electron volt, or this we can also write minus 13.6 electron volt divided by n square. ये ರೀತಿನೂ ಬರೀಬಹುದು ಇದನ್ನು. So this is the generalized equation for the total energy of the nth stationary orbit of hydrogen atom. Because I have substituted z is equal to 1, mass of the electron, charge of the electron, permittivity of free space, Planck constant if I substitute, and if I convert all this data to the electron volt. So electron volt convert ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಈ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ನೀವು ಕನ್ವರ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ 13.6 ಅಂತ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಡೆಫಿನೆಟ್ಲಿ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ವೆರಿಫೈ ದಿಸ್ ಥ್ರೂ ದಿ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟರ್ಸ್. ಸೊ 13.6 ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ ವೋಲ್ಟ್. ಸೊ minus 1 by n square into 13.6, that is minus 13.6 electron volt by n square. So this is the total energy of the electron in an nth stationary orbits of a hydrogen atom for this one. It is in general for nth stationary orbits of an atom of some particular, whatever may be that atom. So if you replace Z as a 1, it becomes for hydrogen, Z as 2 for helium, so like that, Z as 3 for lithium, like that. So this is the total energy expression in terms of Bohr's atomic model. We are deduced this equation in terms of Bohr's atomic model here. So this is the hypothesis done by Niels Bohr. So this is the derivation, and this is our today's class regarding orbital velocity derivation and total energy of the electron. Remember the three derivations including Bohr's postulate. Bohr's postulates are important for 3 marks, and even these derivation, radius of this stationary orbit derivation, orbital speed derivation and total energy derivation are very important for the exam. Okay, so if you have any doubts, just you can go through this and you try to practice once or twice this derivation, then it will be very easy to you. So this is our today's class. We shall meet in our next class. Thank you.